Traveling can be an enriching and exhilarating experience, offering new cultures, landscapes, and adventures. However, some places in the world are fraught with danger due to various factors such as political instability, high crime rates, natural disasters, and health risks. While these destinations may hold historical significance or natural beauty, the risks associated with visiting them often outweigh the benefits. Here is a comprehensive look at 10 of the most dangerous places not to visit, highlighting the reasons why these destinations pose significant threats to travelers. 1. Afghanistan. Political instability and conflict. Afghanistan has been plagued by decades of war and political instability, making it one of the most dangerous places in the world. The ongoing conflict between the Taliban, ISIS, and the Afghan government has resulted in widespread violence and insecurity. Travelers are at high risk of being caught in terrorist attacks, kidnappings, and armed conflicts. Security concerns. The security situation in Afghanistan is volatile and unpredictable. The presence of landmines and unexploded ordnance in many areas further adds to the danger. Kidnapping of foreigners for ransom or political leverage is a common threat, particularly in remote regions. Infrastructure and health. The country's infrastructure is severely damaged, with limited access to healthcare, clean water, and basic amenities. This makes it difficult for travelers to receive necessary medical attention in case of emergencies. 2. Syria. Ongoing civil war. Syria has been engulfed in a brutal civil war since 2011, leading to widespread destruction, displacement, and loss of life. The conflict involves multiple factions, including the Syrian government, rebel groups, ISIS, and foreign military forces, creating a highly dangerous environment. Humanitarian crisis. The war has resulted in a severe humanitarian crisis, with millions of people displaced and living in dire conditions. Access to food, water, and medical supplies is extremely limited, posing significant health risks to travelers. Targeted violence. Foreigners in Syria are at high risk of targeted violence, including kidnappings and killings. Terrorist groups operating in the region often target Westerners for propaganda purposes, making it an unsafe destination for travelers. 3. Yemen. Civil war and famine. Yemen is experiencing one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, driven by a protracted civil war. The conflict between Houthi rebels and the Saudi-led coalition has devastated the country, leading to widespread famine and disease. Security threats. The security situation in Yemen is dire, with frequent bombings, drone strikes, and armed clashes. Terrorist organizations such as Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP, and ISIS have a significant presence in the region, posing a constant threat to travelers. Humanitarian access. Access to humanitarian aid is severely restricted, and the country's healthcare system is on the brink of collapse. The risk of infectious diseases such as cholera is high, and medical facilities are often unable to provide adequate care. 4. South Sudan. Ongoing conflict. South Sudan has been mired in conflict since gaining independence in 2011. The power struggle between the government and opposition forces has led to widespread violence, displacement, and human rights abuses. Humanitarian crisis. The conflict has created a severe humanitarian crisis, with millions of people facing food insecurity and malnutrition. The country's infrastructure is severely underdeveloped, and access to basic services is extremely limited. Security risks. Travelers in South Sudan face significant security risks, including armed robberies, kidnappings, and violent crime. The presence of landmines and unexploded ordnance adds to the danger, particularly in rural areas. 5. Somalia. Terrorism and piracy. Somalia is known for its high levels of terrorism and piracy, making it one of the most dangerous places to visit. The militant group Al-Shabaab frequently carries out attacks in the capital, Mogadishu, and other parts of the country. Lawlessness. The lack of a stable central government has led to widespread lawlessness and crime. Travelers are at high risk of being targeted for kidnappings, armed robberies, and violent assaults. Infrastructure and health. Somalia's infrastructure is severely lacking, with limited access to clean water, healthcare, and other essential services. The risk of disease outbreaks is high, and medical facilities are often unable to provide adequate care in emergencies. 6. Iraq. Ongoing violence. Despite improvements in recent years, Iraq remains a dangerous destination due to ongoing violence and instability. Terrorist groups such as ISIS continue to carry out attacks, particularly in Baghdad and other major cities. Kidnapping and crime. Kidnapping of foreigners for ransom or political leverage is a significant threat in Iraq. Travelers are also at risk of violent crime, including armed robberies and assaults. Health risks. Iraq's healthcare system is struggling to cope with the demands of a population affected by years of conflict. Access to medical care can be limited, and the risk of disease outbreaks is high. 7. Central African Republic. Civil war and violence. The Central African Republic, CAR, has been embroiled in a civil war since 2012, leading to widespread violence and instability. Armed groups control large parts of the country, and clashes between factions are frequent. Humanitarian crisis. The conflict has created a severe humanitarian crisis, with millions of people displaced and in need of aid. Access to food, water and healthcare is extremely limited, posing significant risks to travelers. Security concerns. Travelers in the car face high risks of armed attacks, kidnappings and violent crime. The presence of landmines and unexploded ordnance adds to the danger, particularly in rural areas. 8. Libya. Political instability. Since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, Libya has been plagued by political instability and violence. Rival factions and militias vie for control, leading to frequent clashes and attacks. Security risks. The security situation in Libya is highly volatile, with a high risk of kidnappings, armed robberies and terrorist attacks. The presence of ISIS and other extremist groups further exacerbates the danger. Humanitarian issues. Libya's infrastructure has been severely damaged by years of conflict, and access to basic services is limited. The risk of disease outbreaks is high, and medical facilities often lack the resources to provide adequate care. 9. Venezuela. Political and economic crisis. Venezuela is facing a severe political and economic crisis, leading to widespread instability and violence. The country has one of the highest crime rates in the world, with frequent incidents of armed robberies, kidnappings and murders. Health risks. The healthcare system in Venezuela is in a state of collapse, with severe shortages of medical supplies and personnel. Travelers are at high risk of contracting diseases and may find it difficult to access necessary medical care. Social unrest. Protests and civil unrest are common in Venezuela, often leading to violent clashes between demonstrators and security forces. The volatile situation poses significant risks to travelers who may find themselves caught in the crossfire. 10. North Korea. Political repression. North Korea is one of the most isolated and repressive countries in the world. The government tightly controls all aspects of life, and any perceived dissent is met with severe punishment, including imprisonment and execution. Lack of transparency. The lack of transparency and information about the situation in North Korea makes it difficult to assess the risks accurately. Travelers are closely monitored by government minders, and any deviation from approved activities can result in severe consequences. Health and safety. Access to healthcare is extremely limited in North Korea, and the quality of medical facilities is poor. The risk of infectious diseases is high, and travelers may find it difficult to receive adequate medical attention in case of emergencies. Conclusion. While the allure of exploring every corner of the globe is strong, it's crucial to recognize the dangers associated with certain destinations. Political instability, ongoing conflicts, high crime rates, and inadequate infrastructure make these 10 places among the most dangerous to visit. Travelers are advised to prioritize their safety and choose destinations where the risks are manageable and where they can enjoy their adventures without fear. Like and subscribe to Real Media.